Ladies and gentlemen, there are a few issues in our country that evoke as much emotion and as much debate as quote-unquote instance justice. A young doctor in Hyderabad is allegedly gang raped and murdered by four. All four men are shot dead by the police a few days later, and a massive crowd cheers and celebrates them, showers them with flowers. A 12-year-old raped in Ayodhya. The sprawling home of the accused, a Samajwadi Party leader, is demolished by bulldozers. In UP, it happens, Bulldozer Baba's instant justice is hailed again. In Rajasthan, a schoolboy stabs his classmate, killing him. Udaipur is rocked by communal clashes. The boy's rented home is bulldozed. Again, it is cheered on as retribution. In a country where common citizens are crushed under the tyranny of Tariq, this is hailed as instant justice. Is it instant? Yes. Is it revenge? Yes. But where is the justice? Is this really justice? These were the questions that the Supreme Court was dealing with today as it heard a bunch of petitions by a Muslim scholars body called the Jamaat Ulema-e-Hind and two citizens whose homes had been demolished. The petition by the scholars said it was mostly Muslims who were at the receiving end of this bulldozer bullying, and this needs to be stopped immediately. The government's argument was what it usually is. They say only illegal construction was being bulldozed, and there was no aspect of revenge on minorities involved in all of this. But ladies and gentlemen, I think the Supreme Court, like most of us, has seen enough of these bulldozer actions to know this is not about municipal laws. This is about some misplaced sense of retribution and justice and revenge. So the Supreme Court wasn't fooled. They said, look at the complaints, it was clear that there was a breach and that needed to be plugged. The Supreme Court said, and I'm quoting them now, how can a house be demolished just because he's accused? It can't be demolished even if he's been convicted. The Supreme Court now says it will be framing guidelines on demolishing illegal construction so that there is no misuse of the so-called municipal rules. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to draw your attention to just one instance that tells us why every time a bulldozer rolls on, what it crushes is the rule of law. What it crushes is our constitution, and what it crushes is our democracy. I want to take you back to Ujjain. Last year, roughly this time, a Muslim teen was accused of spitting at a Hindu procession. Do you remember this? His house was demolished almost immediately. He spent 5 months in judicial custody. 5 months later, the case turned on its head when the two main eyewitnesses told the court that they had never seen anyone spit on the Hindu procession and that the police had made them sign papers without telling them what was in it. Ladies and gentlemen, now tell me if this is injustice, where an innocent person is deemed guilty by the state without a trial, and his family is punished along with him for a moment. Just forget your ideology, just forget your political leanings, forget whether you vote for the BJP or the Congress or the left or the Trinamool Congress, and think if this was your family and your son. What if this happened to you in the name of justice? Listen in to some political reactions that came in.
बुलडोजर चलाना अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल था और पहले से हम लोग इस बात को उठाते रहे। मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं, बधाई देता हूं कि न्याय का बुलडोजर चल गया, न्याय मिला है।
Why courts are there? Why due process is there? Why constitution is there? Why Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is there? All are skirted, and direct action is done by bureaucrats at the behest of leaders or politicians. This is against the constitution, and Supreme Court should give harsher judgment in this, that at no cost there should be bulldozer action, because it defies the constitution.
ब्रिजभूषण शरण सिंह भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सांसद हमारे देश की पहलवानों की इज्जत पे हाथ डाला। क्या ब्रिजभूषण शरण सिंह का घर तोड़ा गया? क्या कुलदीप सिंह सेंगर का घर तोड़ा भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने? भारतीय जनता पार्टी की औकात नहीं है कि वो इन लोगों के घर तोड़ सके। जो बिल्डोजर है, ये बिल्डोजर जो है पिक एंड चूज, जहां पे इनकी सियासत को फायदा होता है वहां पे बुलडोजर चलाते हैं, जहां इन्हें फायदा नहीं होता वहां कर जाते हैं।
My guest this evening, Pankaj Chaturvedi, spokesperson of the BJP, joining us on the broadcast. Abhishek Sudhir is a political analyst with us on the broadcast as well. Ghanshyam Tiwari is spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Thank you very much. And Kapil Sankhla is a Supreme Court lawyer. He's joining us on the broadcast as well. Pankaj Chaturvedi, can I come to you first and ask you if you can be honest and tell us whether this has been a big embarrassment to all BJP-ruled states that seem to tout this bulldozer action as some form of instant justice? The Supreme Court very clearly says this is not justice at all. In fact, the Supreme Court is bringing in guidelines to stop exactly these things that have been happening in Uttar Pradesh, in Rajasthan and in Madhya Pradesh, even Assam, all BJP-ruled states. Is this an embarrassment or is this not an embarrassment?
Shreya ji, it is not the matter of the embarrassment or pride. It is the matter of the constitution and the rule of law. So what the state governments, let's talk about UP, Rajasthan or Madhya Pradesh, what we were doing as per the law. The Municipal Act 1956 of Madhya Pradesh, the Municipal Act 1950 of UP, it has given the power to the authorities to demolish the illegal constructions. And all the construction which has been demolished, it was pure illegal. But we respect the Honorable Supreme Court, that apex legal body of India, and we will follow what they will say. And on, I think what Supreme Court has said, they are not supporting the illegal constructions, but they will fix a proper guideline on the next hearing, which is on 17. They will give the notice to the concerned parties to listen their side as well. Then they will decide the things. But it is not any kind of vendetta politics. So it is a matter of
Pankaj Chaturvedi ji,
we have done what the power has given.
Constitution की बात की. Okay. Chaturvedi ji, you're talking about the Constitution and you're saying that all the demolitions and this instant justice that has happened under the rule of law, that no law has been broken. Hai na? And you are saying, and this is an argument that the government has made in the Supreme Court as well today, that these demolitions have nothing to do with revenge or retribution and have everything to do with illegal construction. So, सबसे recent example ले लेते हैं. Udaipur ka example, where a Muslim boy stabs his Hindu classmate, the Hindu classmate dies. There is rioting in Udaipur, right? There is rioting, people are arrested, etc., etc. What happens after that? What happens after that is that this Muslim boy's home is demolished. ठीक है? सबसे पहले तो rented property. That house did not even belong to that boy or his father. Number one. And by the way, that father is in court today, the Supreme Court today. Number two, very importantly, Chaturvedi ji, आप तो कह रहे हैं ये पूरा जो illegal construction को खत्म करने का काम कर रही है सरकार. तो ये बात बताइए that there were 200 homes in that area. Only one house was demolished. 200 homes in that area. One house is demolished. So how is this, how is this municipal laws being enacted? Chaturvedi ji, सबको पता है क्या चल रहा है. What is the point of even the government or spokespersons coming out and making this sort of defense, which everyone knows is not true?
Shreya ji, let me answer. The problem is that angle which the Congress party and their supporters are trying to create, that is the angle of appeasement. They always look to the Muslim side. Only Muslims have construction has been demolished in the entire process across MP, across Madhya Pradesh, across Rajasthan. It was the accused who has done it. It doesn't look like it's the Muslims accused or Hindu accused. It is common for every citizen of India, whether it is Muslim or Hindu. And that is the only problem.
Correct.
They just
Huh.
want to see the politics of appeasement to see currently again. That is the main problem. That's why they create this atmosphere. It is the vendetta politics.
Okay.
They are targeting the Muslims only. What about the Hindus? What about the Hindus? If the plea has to be like this, then no illegal construction should be demolished as per the municipal law. That's a different thing. But they only see the Muslim angle. Let's see who is the appellant. You see some Muslim scholars committee is
Ghanshyam
the
Tiwari, would
appellant
you want to
in
respond to
this
that?
case.
Good evening, Shreya, to you, the
But
viewers
the
and the
cases
fellow.
that they are citing are Muslim people who have been targeted, sir. Good evening. Hi, Ghanshyam. Go ahead. Would you want to
Hi.
respond to what the BJP is saying?
Well, BJP is by and large today a bundle of lie and propaganda. So to be able to cherry pick truth from what they say is very difficult for anyone. However, because it's a lie and propaganda, it can be easily demolished. For example, Aam Aadmi Party leader Saurabh Bhai, the minister, gave a press conference where he named 16 leaders of BJP. He named them, including the mayor, last mayor. He said that these people have illegal constructions. Did the bulldozer come? It did not come. If you look at systematic innovations of toxic and hateful propaganda and policy that Yogi Adityanath has brought to Uttar Pradesh, fake encounters, the Uttar Pradesh ranking all-time high every year in custodial deaths, the putting up of posters, protesters, again the court had banished them, whether it is the destruction of people's homes and as a result their sense of identity, which the Prime Minister, no one other than the Prime Minister himself, in the elections where people routed him in Uttar Pradesh, patted Yogi Adityanath on the back on the bulldozer model. Like a virus, this model of injustice and hatefulness spread across different states ruled by BJP, as if the various CEOs wanted to champion. This model has taken real lives. There was Dixit Parivar in Kanpur, where two people were burnt alive when a daughter and her mother were burnt alive because the Uttar Pradesh bulldozer went there, and the DM had ordered it. When you are there to destruct lives and then want to say that this is our model of governance, then you see that today in Uttar Pradesh, if you are weak, this government will destruct your life and claim it as a victory. This is what they did, and the Prime Minister will celebrate it. Whether you are a farmer, it's the same thing. Whether it is somebody who's a job applicant, it is the same thing. Across, there is zero sympathy that this government has towards poor and the weak, and they demonstrate this power of the state to deliver kangaroo level justice system in the front of camera, celebrated by several journalists that support BJP, entire ecosystem that support BJP, to say this is our innovation in India. It is a shame. If Yogi Adityanath had any kind of moral fabric in him, he would have resigned on this day, or the Prime Minister would have issued a statement that I welcome the Supreme
Kapil,
Court viewpoint on this, that bulldozer cannot be in a democratic country a kangaroo system of justice.
You know, that's exactly the point. Because if the state has to be judge, jury, executioner, if they have to decide who is guilty and punish them, then what is the need of courts in this country? एक bulldozer Supreme Court पे भी चला दीजिए, है ना चतुर्वेदी जी? एक bulldozer आप लखनऊ हाई कोर्ट पे भी चला दीजिए, district courts जितने हैं सब पे bulldozer चला दीजिए. If the state has to decide who is guilty without a trial, bypass the law of this land, might as well put these bulldozers to good use so that the taxpayers' money is not spent. But Kapil Sankhla, the point is, and I think this is a point that Ghanshyam Tiwari is making, and I'd want you to elaborate on it. The problem and the point is that if you go to a state like Uttar Pradesh, there is a certain degree of not just acceptance, even celebration when this so-called bulldozer justice takes place. That you have common people in Uttar Pradesh who say, wo Samajwadi Party, you know, it used to be, the goons used to run riot in the state. Now look at Yogi Adityanath. He's coming, he's delivering instant justice. There is a certain degree of dar in the minds of gundas when these bulldozers roll. Therefore, shanti hai. So there is a large degree of acceptance. In fact, even celebration when things like these happen. What do you do about that? The court can say what they want to.
You're absolutely right. Shreya, so I'll talk about the law as it stands without coming to any judgment whatsoever, because I have no views in this. I do agree that I cringe when we talk about bulldozer justice, because it takes away an entire plethora of law which is there to protect citizens. However, in Delhi High Court, there's a lady who actually withdrew a case recently saying that I am tired of the litigation, and she did litigation fatigue. So what happens is, many years back, the Honorable Supreme Court had said that justice delayed is justice denied. In the Honorable Supreme Court, there was a judgment that had said that where the state takes inordinate amount of time in a matter, an accused will be allowed to go scot-free unless this is a serious crime or whatever. In civil cases, the Honorable Supreme Court had stated given timelines for the lower court to adhere to. None of it has actually seen the light of the day in the courts below. Now, the other thing is that justice is not only to be done, but is seen to be done. Now, for a common man, this is justice being seen to be done. And so that is what makes him happy, because the optics are all right. He sees that there is instant justice. You just told me about the story about this Muslim boy who stabbed his classmate. The classmate died. They were etc. So that was an unfortunate incident. And in retaliation, if a house is demolished, that is seen as instant justice, because they know that the matter will go on for years in the court. That's one. The second more important fact is this, that whatever you may say, the perception that is being sought to be created today is that there was everything against the government today. The Supreme Court came down very harshly. And that, unfortunately or fortunately, is incorrect, because the perception is incorrect. The Honorable Supreme Court, in fact, also appreciated and lauded the statement made by the state of Uttar Pradesh that the demolition can only be done if the structure is illegal. And that is where your catch is. You see, there are various rights, rules, and regulations that govern illegal construction. Now, please understand this for a second. The construction is illegal and will be broken down. The timing is questionable and dubious. But more importantly, the question is who actually allowed that illegal construction to take place? Who allowed that Kabza to take place? Why are we not punishing those officers and those police officers? Why are we letting them go who actually allowed Sarkari Zameen to be cleared out and illegal constructions to take place? That is one. The second perception that is being sought today is to say that only the Muslims have been targeted. It might be that as far as the ratio is concerned, and I'm only going by what was argued in the court. So I don't know if it's right or wrong. I am only going by what has been argued in the court. So my understanding is that though a narrative is being sought to be created today, that only Muslim houses are being targeted, I think the facts are otherwise. The facts are otherwise because what was also argued and what is also stated, that when there were demolition in Jahangirpuri, yes, there were more Muslim houses, but the demolition took place dehors what somebody's religion was. And various other houses were demolished. Quickly, the Udaipur example that you gave in 2024, again, many Hindu houses and people of other religion were also demolished, though the questions were raised as to why selective targeting is taking place, but it was found to be incorrect because in Udaipur, many Hindu houses were also broken. And lastly, very importantly, again in Haryana, in 2023...
Kapilji, the fact is...
Let me just finish the last thing I was saying.
I understand the point you're trying to make. I understand the point you're trying to make in but the fact is, Kapilji, that the timing is suspect. Right? These illegal constructions have stood, if they are illegal, for the last 60-70 years. You suddenly wake up to these illegal constructions now, right?
Oh yes, I agree with you, and that is what I'm saying.
So my point is, everyone sees through the charade that these municipal laws are, which come into action only once somebody's house has to be demolished.
You're absolutely right. And why I'm raising this is this, because I was a lawyer for more than 100 people whose houses were demolished somewhere in Rajpur Road, just behind the MP's house, where certain ministers' houses were to be constructed. And I questioned in the court saying that, my lord, let us also punish the officers who allow houses to be built, because this is all that they have.
True.
Now the construction took place and the money was given, and probably whatever. The court said an illegality is an illegality. You cannot look at the timing. Now, unfortunately, this is what they're here. It is true that the timing is crucial. But why are we only punishing and looking at these people and not looking at those officers that relevant time permitted those illegal construction to take place?
Okay.
Why are we questioning those people who did Kabza.
That is a point.
And that's a larger point. That is a much larger
No,
point.
but
Shreya.
I don't even think this is about Kabza. You know, Abhishek Sudhir, you can argue it whichever way, but I don't think this is about Kabza. I don't think this is about encroachments. Because if this was about illegal construction and encroachments, I can assure you I come from Lucknow and you come from Lucknow to a certain extent as well. Half of Lucknow would have to be demolished. Same is the case for Delhi. So this is not about illegal Kabza. This is about making a point, a political point.
Well, Shreya, I'm glad you mentioned Lucknow and Noida. I've heard the political speak on the show. I've heard lawyers speak on the show. Today, I'd like to speak as a common citizen. My view on Bulldozer Justice has evolved. Honestly, I found it very jarring a few years ago. Yogi ji rolled out this policy. I've spoken against it on national television. Today, I heard you run a bite from Akhilesh Yadav, who said that this is unconstitutional. Two most prominent Samajwadi Party leaders who've had their properties demolished in the last few months are Nawab Singh Yadav and Moeed Khan. Nawab Singh Yadav today, who has been accused of attempted rape, his DNA was found on the 15-year-old victim. Then we have Moeed Khan, who raped a 12-year-old girl, impregnated her. Akhilesh Yadav said, "Where is the DNA test?" Well, we have the DNA test. The properties of Moeed Khan and Nawab Singh Yadav were demolished. All well and good, rule of law, Shreya, all well and good. But in this country, justice is not delayed. Justice never arrives. At the end of the day, I'm an advocate. I'm sick and tired of the rule of law. If you follow the rule of law, the release of the Bilkis Bano rapist was in accordance with the law. Maybe it was against, morality, but the release of the Bilkis Bano rapist was in accordance with the law. All the powers exercised by the constitutional authorities in accordance with the law. Today, I would like Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari to answer about Moeed Khan and Nawab Singh. Their properties were demolished for raping a 12-year-old and attempting to rape a 15-year-old. Am I going to go explain to my to the person who comes and makes food for me the rule of law, Article 21 of the Constitution of India, if a child is impregnated and raped by a Samaj Party leader at the age of 12, sure, BJP leaders might be guilty of rape and their property won't get demolished. But at the end of the day, Yogi Adityanath has made Uttar Pradesh safe. That I have realized in the last 3 years. Remember, Shreya, I've been a proxy for the Samajwadi Party.
My dear friend
Abhishek
Sudhir,
my views have evolved on this because at the end of the day, after the 2024 Lok Sabha mandate,
so are your views?
Two Samajwadi Party
Why are your views?
At the end of the day, raping children.
Why are your views then not evolving when it comes? Abhishek, sun lo. You know, if that is the logic that you are giving me this evening, then what about Brijbhushan Sharan Singh? कहाँ रहता है? दिल्ली में नहीं रहते वो, गोंडा में रहते हैं। उनके घर में तो नहीं चला बुलडोजर? केस चल रहा है। There is a case against him in court.
Let me answer.
So sorry, but
Shreya, let me not mince.
your own guess.
No, Shreya, let me just make my point. You've asked me a direct question. Let me make my point. I, Abhishek Sudhir, am a Hindu. I feel safer if the BJP is in power. Brijbhushan Singh's house, if the BJP wants to demolish it, I'll support it. If they don't want to demolish it, if that means the Samajwadi Party comes into power, I don't want that. I, as a Hindu, feel safer if Yogi Adityanath is Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. I, as a Hindu, will feel unsafe if the BJP and Yogi Adityanath is not in power in Uttar Pradesh. I will think as a Hindu and vote as a Hindu from this day forward. Today, if the Bulldozer Justice is keeping criminals at bay,
Abhishek,
so be it. So be it.
That is hypocrisy then. That is hypocrisy then. But I'll let Ghanshyam Tiwari come in. That is hypocrisy. That bulldozers will roll on the homes of political opponents and the minorities, but not your own people, despite the fact that they are accused of crimes as heinous. That's hypocrisy. And then what happens? What happens to the courts?
Temples have been demolished there.
Courts ka kya? Abhishek, what do we do with the courts in this country?
The Constitution does not change history. The Constitution doesn't change.
What do we do with the courts in this country?
The courts in this country is useless.
We can then just bypass the law. We can just bypass the law. Ghanshyam Tiwari, would you want to come in here?
Ambedkar said, I will burn this constitution. I'll be the first to burn it. Those who break the constitution is what matters. Otherwise, it's a piece of paper. What, 25 years for a conviction in a criminal case?
So essentially, you're making a case for jungle Raj in this country and kangaroo courts, right? That's the case you're making this evening. And and where was the justice in what happened in Ujjain? I don't have a house in Lutyens. I don't have a bungalow in Lutyens, Delhi. I think you and I both know I live in a rented flat in Noida. So, ठीक है, Sudhir. और Sudhir, एक और बात सुन. You know, you're talking about instant justice and no hope. The point I'm trying to make is you are very conveniently forgetting what has happened in Ujjain. Don't hijack this debate. Abhishek, don't hijack this debate. You are completely forgetting the point that I made on Ujjain. The fact that a teenager is put in jail for 5 months for spitting on a Hindu procession. Turns out he never did it, and his house was demolished.
Their ancestors demolished our temples in Ujjain. Why should I try to that? I won't. They never tried to temples,
Ghanshyam Tiwari, would you want to come in here? Ye to abhi the BJP spokesperson was saying this is not about Hindus and Muslims. It's interesting to see that's exactly what it has become.
Well, I think.
ठीक है. अरे भाई रोक जाओ अभिषेक. What has happened to you today? सुन ली तुम्हारी बात. Now let the others come in.
Shreya, I do not want to subject logic and viewpoint to one's blinded hypocrisy and political ambition. If you go from party to party, eventually you will be rudderless and your points will be without logic, will throw a rhetoric because now you want a career in other party. My best wishes to Abhishek in his this new career as or new avatar of a hateful preacher for BJP. But I am shocked that the lawyers in this country are saying that the courts are not useful, and they are arguing, like the previous Supreme Court lawyer also said, they want justice to be seen, to be delivered. That is what Taliban does. That is what Taliban does. If the Supreme Court lawyer is saying that they would want justice to be seen, to be delivered, they are all arguing kangaroo court. And this is what happens when you run the state system as a mafia. It is a sorry state of affairs that BJP, being the largest party in India in terms of number of states they run the system, the constitution, everything as a mafia, that they will choose who will get justice, how will they get justice. If you create a propaganda against a community or an individual, first in your favorite channels, that this person is criminal, even before any charges have been framed, and then you on the accusation send bulldozer, what do you expect? People will cheer because you have created a tamasha around it. The court or the justice system is not a tamasha. It has a due process. And if the lawyers in Supreme Court are really true, and your viewers can hold them accountable, if they are true to their new idea of anarchy in India and Taliban in India, then they should throw away their gowns. They should not write that they are advocates. Because you can't say this, that you want justice to be seen, to be delivered in protection of this whole bulldozer system, which is by a party that has garnered 13,000 crores in chandas, in the Chandal Udhanda model. There is no morality here.
Okay. ठीक है. I think our viewers are, what is the job of a news channel? The job of a news channel is give our viewers information and give them all points of view. So I think we've got all points of views in. We've got the point of view of a lawyer who's practicing. We've got points of view of political people and even a common citizen. Abhishek Sudhir this evening is calling himself a common citizen of Uttar Pradesh. I think our viewers, अच्छा ठीक है, हो गया. Sudhir, I don't know what has happened to you today. Next time, please come to the studio. It's just having a conversation is just easier with you under those circumstances.